Gavin, the sound's probably going to cut off in the middle of this.
Hey! We're recording the podcast!
The iPad just died.
You're falling apart today.
Good morning to you, wherever you are, because it is
morning somewhere.
for October 2024. My name is Burnie Burns. This is normally where I turn down the music that doesn't exist right now. Sitting right over there, he's got a new title, Hubby. It's Gavin Free, everybody. How you doing, Gav?
Good, thanks.
I actually physically muscle memory turned down the song that doesn't exist. It's been a hell of a morning, Gav.
You're a perfectly functioning, successful person, but this morning's been great watching you just try and do normal tasks.
I got lost going to pick you up in Austin. I got lost in Austin. I didn't think that was going to be possible after 30 years, yet somehow I did it.
I never thought I'd be the one giving you directions in Austin. Not that I did that, but I probably could have.
Yeah, you didn't weigh in to help at all.
Well, I didn't know you were lost.
Well, I did, because I found out that I was texting you the whole time, and then when I went back to look at it, I realized I was texting the guy who helps cut down some of my tree limbs in Scotland. He must have been like, why the fuck are
So
you
you
texting
text
me?
a tree surgeon, I'm here. So he was probably chainsaw in hand looking around.
Apparently there's a lot of Gavins in my contact list now that I live abroad.
That's bullshit. So you know 2 European Gavins?
Do you consider yourself European?
Yep.
Are you?
Well, I'm from Europe, so...
Because there are people who in the UK wouldn't say, I am not from Europe. I am from Britain.
Not from the mainland.
You're from one of the islands of Europe?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so I know 2 European Gavins. Let me think. Do I know any other Gavins? No, that's it. Just 2 Gavins. That's it.
How was breakfast?
Listen, I made fun of Barbara years ago because, and we kind of touched on it the last week when she was on the podcast. When she moved down from Canada, she came and sat in the office with Gus and Adam Baird. And 2 weeks after moving to Texas, she was wearing a sweater indoors because of the air conditioning here. And it's like, you're from Canada. Like, you were like negative 20 degrees half the year. And she fully acclimated. So I had an acclimation problem today. So yes, go ahead and make fun of me for it.
Just watching you tuck into a lovely migas? You had a bit of salsa and suddenly you couldn't keep your eyes open and you were just hiccuping the whole
I was trying to cover it. And I was like, wow, that's really hitting me. We were talking too about the closing of the company, and I'm like, your eyes started tearing up. And I was like,
he's taking this harder than I thought.
It was salsa doing it. And then I tried to cover for it. And you were like, you going to be okay? I go, yeah, I'm totally fine. Was it as loud to you as it was to me?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And then, because we used to travel a lot and just weird stuff would happen.
Always.
And you would blame me. And
Always.
I think I would blame you. But it was neither of our faults most of the time.
We are the epitome of, like, they say, greater than the sum of its parts. We're the opposite of that. Somehow it just like... 2 intelligent, functioning people. We get around each other, and it just all falls apart.
I watched you sipping away at a cappuccino, perfectly normal cappuccino. You probably had half left when we went to leave. And then you were debating, shall I chug this at the end, or shall I throw it away? And then suddenly, the entire lid was full of water.
What was that?
It was just loaded like someone had poured a drink on top of your cup.
I realized it was there because it was so much water, it was draining down onto my hand from the top of the cup. And did I look completely perplexed?
Yeah. And you were looking up, did a tree like leak? Because it was the top cap. It wasn't like an open cup. It was just all sat right where your lips would go.
Right. And it was like this puddle on top of it. So much that it was like spilling over the cup. I was like, where the hell did this come from? Wouldn't I feel that much water going onto the top of the cup?
Yeah, and it's just us being together just causes slight fluctuations in the simulation, I think.
I was trying to think the other day too. Remember when we had all those bizarre coincidences as well? Like just wildly improbable stuff that would happen to us all the time. Like one of the weirdest ones was you and I went to Seattle, and we,
oh my God,
collectively between the two of us, we knew one person in Seattle, and we ran into them immediately.
And I think we'd even talked about them recently because we were going there. And then,
like, should we call them?
Yeah. And then the first coffee shop we went to the morning of our first day of work there, she walked out.
Right. And it was like, we're talking. This wasn't like in the middle of downtown Seattle. This was like a suburban street, side street. She just comes out of this coffee shop.
Yeah, and it was, I think, so jarring for us that and maybe for her too, that we had the weirdest interaction. It was just like hi, but with like a bunch of confused looks and like good to see you, but like suspicious of each other.
Yeah, like, are you following me?
What's
Like,
going on?
what's happening right now?
I think that trip put us in the credits of Halo 4.
Oh, is that the one where they put us in an office in 343, now Halo Studios?
Yeah.
Congratulations, I guess, across to you. Yeah. I know you're a longtime Halo fan. Have you gotten
Love
all
Halo.
the achievements in Halo Infinite yet? Or, excuse me, Master Chief Collection?
I think I'm 20 away, or maybe less, which doesn't sound very good, but there's like 600 achievements.
But also, is the last 20 like 90% of the work?
That's
usually-
it's stuff that I just can't do. I'm just not good enough. Like beat Halo 2 on Legendary in less than 3 hours collectively.
Jesus.
I think I did that one, but like the Reach ones I haven't done. I got to really just sit down and dedicate some good time to playing Halo.
You know what you need in your life? You need someone like you are to Jeff, who like carries them through all that stuff. Do you have someone in your life who does that?
Probably Andrew Panton, but
Oh,
now I
of
work
course.
with him and I play games with him all the time.
We all leaned on him so hard over the years, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. When did we met Panton when he was 13, right?
Probably. Was it during Griffball?
Griffball, yeah.
Have we ever talked about Griffball on this?
No, miss? You've been here once?
Twice?
Yeah, we can look it up. Have you been twice? I can look it up. I finally, Gavin, you'll appreciate this. You're a business owner. You always have been, but you're doing your own thing and making your own podcast now. I finally have something that I talked about for years on the Rishi podcast, where I just have a database and I can look up everything we've ever talked about on this show, like,
That's amazing.
and with a timestamp and everything like that. So I can, while you talk about Griffball, I'll tell you if you're repeating a story or not. I can look it up right here.
I think when I met Meg, I had slow-mo and all that stuff, and I had all the Rooster Teeth, but she was most impressed that I was around for the creation of Griffball. Because she's like, oh, I've played Griffball. I was like, wait, that's the thing?
Do you remember who else was like that?
No.
Colton Dunn. Because we had talked to him
yeah.
and we were talking about all the stuff we did. And like I said, yeah. And like we made Griffball. And he goes, Griffball. And I go, yeah, the game mode in Halo. And he just goes, no, you didn't. We made that. He goes, nah, man. No,
How is it
You didn't do that.
The Griffball is the most mainstream thing we made.
Well, it's a game thing, and it's in one of the most popular games of all time, and it was in Halo 3. So
But it's just so far, it's such a niche in my head.
it is by far, including like being on a primetime television show with The Amazing Race, Griffball is by far, I think, the thing that more people have interacted with that I've ever made than anything else. And yet I don't feel like we're heavily associated with it either. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a Halo action figure for Griffball as well, right? It's crazy. Like an official Halo action figure.
Yeah, and I just get a tiny piece of the credit just for being around when you made it.
That's kind of like the way it works, I
Although
guess.
I had a suggestion that made it in. Do you remember what it was?
You were the person who suggested that when the ball carrier picks up the ball, they turn yellow like Griff. I did that for fun. Orange. Turn orange like Griff. And then you also, that led to, I think you also suggested the name, because I was calling it rugby beforehand, and you suggested calling it Griffball, didn't you?
Well, you named a game type Griffball, and it was the game type where there's a bunch of people on turrets, and Griff has to like run the gauntlet, and it was like an impossible task, basically. where
Right.
Griff
It was like
is,
a gauntlet
guaranteed-
that, he was guaranteed
it
to
was
die.
a gauntlet where if there was a 100 feet run, he would be dead within 5 feet, and you
Right.
called that Griffball. And then in rugby, I was like, this should be Griffball.
Right. That's what it was.
So you just moved the name over.
But you were also like, you knew the whole lore, like you're my little searchable database for Red versus Blue,
Yeah.
because you watched it as a fan. And that's
Yeah.
a little bit different of an experience than when you make something. Like you go to the next episode when you're working on it, so it immediately flies out of my head, when I do it.
Yeah, I was a pretty good encyclopedia for like
were.
season 1 to 5.
Yep.
Anything after that, even including the stuff I worked on, I'm terrible. I don't know. It's like as soon as you start working at a place, even though I'm still a fan of it, I'm a part of it. So
What is
it doesn't
that?
go in as well.
Yeah, it doesn't stick when it goes through, does it? Yeah.
Yeah, I can remember stuff that happened in Red versus Blue way more than stuff that happened in Achievement Hunter, which is insane because I was there.
Well, are you like what about slow-mo guys? Are you that way too? Like, do you have to go back and look and make sure you didn't do an experiment?
That I remember a lot more, I think, because I'm the whole process.
Right.
Like I have to edit it, I have to proof it and stuff. But that, there was Achievement Hunter stuff.
And you're
that
not doing like 5 videos a week.
Right.
For that either.
Yeah, I've only made like 200 and something videos.
What's the average amount of time that you spend on a slow-mo guy's video?
In the edit,
Yeah.
12 hours maybe.
12 hours. That's amazing to me. I would have thought I've seen some of your project timelines, like in Adobe Premiere or whatever you use, like Final Cut.
Final Cut.
And it's like, I've always said it's, Slow-mo guys, even the name of it evokes like a visual show. But there's so much work you do it seems like most of your work in post-production is sound design.
Yeah.
It's a sound design show.
I think 12 hours is the average. If I, like, for example, I'm editing right now, it was like a shotgun type thing where it had a bunch of different pellets that all hit a metal surface. If it was like a slug, the sound design would take me like 20 minutes. Because it's like a ton of different impacts, it's going to take me like 9 hours.
Oh my God.
It sucks. I hate it.
I can't even imagine that. Do you think about that when you're shooting it too?
I think about it when I'm watching it back.
Oh,
like,
really?
Like Dan's like,
in the
"Whoa,
viewfinder?"
cool. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Like a little thing flies through screen and you're like, oh, it looks cool, but now I've got to make sounds for that.
Yeah. Need like a whoosh.
Because if you use the audio native from the camera, it's just going to be like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I can slow it down to like 20%, but that's it.
Unintelligible stuff. JD just sent me a short story that I should send to you. It's about a guy who like changes his time frame. I should send that to you. You and I used to have the most like weird philosophical discussions about that, about how there's this world that's going on all the time, and we don't really see all of it. Like there's just by basis of the time base that we live in a totally different reality than other things in a different time base.
Yeah. And we all have the same time base
Yeah,
that we think we do.
right. It's really strange. Like, you ever like? Are you much of a reader at all?
I can read.
Stop bragging, dude. Stay relatable, for God's sake. What's wrong with you over there? You should read like Project Hail Mary. There's a whole discussion about like, without spoiling anything, like if different life would evolve in different places, why would they have similar abilities to see in the same spectrum and hear at the same frequencies and things like that? And there's really cool explanations for why that would be the case. But yeah, so Panton, to wrap this all back up, Panton was like this like child star, like this young teenager who was just the best person at Griffball. He was the best runner in Griffball.
Yeah. Because originally it was me when there were like 12 people playing.
Isn't that the worst? That's the worst. Yeah. And then Pan was also, I guess because he was younger, the RTAA team, Jordan, didn't draw him, but he was the kid that I was playing Saints Row with. Then when we got jumped in by the people in Saints Row, that was Panton.
I like Panton because he's quite a big name now amongst, Rooster Teeth viewers and stuff.
I'm so happy.
He's threaded through the history so much, like a name that you wouldn't pay attention to 10 years ago.
Right.
When you listen to it now, it's like, that was Panton. Crazy.
Right. And he's done so well with Regulation Podcast. Congratulations, by the way. Last time we talked, I don't know if you had gone through the full rebrand. I guess you would have. It would have been in the summer and everything.
Yeah.
Had a tremendous launch.
It's been so good. It's been so fun to just be doing that kind of content again.
When you say that kind of content, what do you mean?
I don't like playing games, making podcasts. I mean, we did it all the way to the end of Rooster Teeth, but so many of the people left. I just feel like now we're back.
Doing what you fancy and things like that too,
Yeah,
right?
just playing stuff we like.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. And I was saying this to Babs too, is that it's like so great to see everybody just like picking up and doing something new. I mean, not everybody, but for the lion's share, everyone's doing great.
It's also great to look at Jeff, who he just took a 4-year break from games. And he was always the one, coming up with game types. And it's so funny to watch him jump back into GTA Online and look at all the stuff that's been added and watch his eyes light up. He's like, oh, so many videos.
Do you think like the next one's just going to be like for the forever GTA?
I wrote a comment on the trailer for GTA 6. And I said something like, at this rate, I've got 3 GTAs left in my lifetime.
You might not, though.
I might not.
Yeah.
That might be an overstatement.
I like that you can measure your life in GTAs.
But
it shows how time slows down, too. Like, you got 3, like, right away in your life, and now you're going to get maybe another 3 over the course of the rest of your life.
It's tragic. I think about the gaps between games is so interesting. Like, to me, the gap between Halo 2 and Halo 3 was, like, across a generation of consoles. It felt like ages.
Yeah.
And now Halo's dropped, like, every 7 years or something.
I remember because Red versus Blue came out, and I think one of the things I attribute the success of Red versus Blue to was it came out 18 months after Halo and 18 months before Halo 2. Mm-hmm. I think if we'd have gotten any closer to any one of the Halo releases, the audience would have been busy with that because that's what they mostly cared about, to get that initial traction. And then also Microsoft wouldn't have been as interested in helping us out with it, or allowing us to do it, because it'd have been like, we were in this all of a sudden 18 months after Halo. suddenly all these like posts were being made about Halo again. They're like, what the hell is this? And it was because we were making red versus blue all of a sudden, you know?
It's crazy too to think about. Halo 2 came out 2 days earlier here than it did in the UK. Like release dates didn't used to be a universal time.
And it used to be stuff would come out in the US more frequently would come out sooner here. But now all the Marvel movies debut overseas before they come out in the US. That's weird to me.
I think a lot of them are shot in England though, so they come out there first.
Is that the reason?
I don't know
for
if that's
it?
the reason, but I just feel like stuff that's shot there often comes out there before here.
Yeah. Well, that Project Hail Mary, they're shooting it in London right now. We have a friend who's in it.
Do we?
Yeah.
Have you said?
I think it's public. I'll say it and then bleep it if it's not public. But Milana's in it. Yeah. I don't think it's been revealed what part she's playing, but that's really freaking cool,
that's cool.
man. That's really cool. Her thing's crazy. I wanted to talk to her while she's in town, but she's obviously busy shooting something. It must be crazy for her because she is probably one of the most recognizable people in the U.S. while in the U.S.
As the AT&T.
She's on every commercial break for every sports event, like every single commercial break. She's on it. But then when she goes to the UK, it must be such an incredible break for her because they don't run AT&T ads in the UK.
I don't think people would even necessarily know what AT&T is.
Yeah, it'd have to be like UK TNT or whatever, or ET&T.
Had you heard of the UK carriers when you lived here? Like, had you heard of EE and O2 and all that?
I had heard of O2, and a lot of them I feel like have changed too. Like, what were some other ones that were back in the day? Like,
when I lived in the UK, because I'm on EE, but it used to be called Orange.
Orange, right? Orange. It was called Orange.
Yeah.
The nice thing about getting a UK phone is I still pay for my American line.
Yeah.
And it's like $100 fucking bucks.
Phones are expensive here. What's that about?
What is that? And in the UK, I get like 20 gigs a month of data, which I can't go through on my phone. My kids couldn't get close, but and then like unlimited text and whatever for £10.
Yeah.
It's like
and you might get a phone with it.
They got to fix that here, man. It's crazy, dude.
Do you think the stuff that you were complaining about around the time Halo 2 came out has any effect on if you complain about it today, would it even make sense? I want to leave myself little like complaint capsules. I want to bit like, for example, someone like
you dig it up and it's like then you open it like what's this? Like, fuck this. It would just make you mad like 20 years from now.
Or I'd just be like, I don't even understand what I'm talking about. For example, I like the fact that if someone on my Instagram story is like, hey, I'm live on Twitch, and the link says twitch.tv, I then go through the process of clicking that, expanding that into Instagram's version of Safari. Then I can go open in Safari.
I hate this stuff.
Then I'll switch to Safari and it'll say open in app, and then it opens in Twitch. Like the hoops to get from the thing that says the phone knows it says Twitch.
Right.
It says it can see every letter on your screen. It just let me open Twitch from there.
It's insane that they haven't worked that out yet. And you even skipped a step, which happens to me, which is it goes to the in-app version of the browser.
Yeah.
Then I click the link to continue, which is I know a thing you hate, continue, or open in app or whatever. Then when I hit open in app, it takes me to the goddamn app store. And I'm like, and you know I have the app because it doesn't say get the app on iPhone.
It just says
open. So then I open it and then it takes me to the front page of the app and it's lost wherever I was going to go because it's like 8 steps ago.
Because in the browser between the browsers, you weren't logged in.
I fucking hate it. I fucking hate it so much.
I don't know what I have to do. Even if the app doesn't want me to go straight to another app, the phone knows what it says on the screen. The phone can read.
What?
Take me to the app.
Barbara was on the podcast last week. We talked about travel. You're here and we're complaining about iPhone. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. We used to get paid for this. So crazy. Well, you got the new iPhone, which I can't believe that you did. But I have to say, while we're talking about Instagram, before we talk about are you happy? Just give us a review. Are you happy with the new iPhone?
It's the same as the old one, except there's a button I hit by accident.
I feel like I can't complain because we have a personal friend now who works at Apple, you and I.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like I think about him every time I complain about an Apple product.
I do too. He's a really nice guy. He doesn't make the phone though.
He doesn't, but he cares.
He cares.
He very much cares about it. The only reason I haven't had him on the podcast is because I feel like I would ask him a bunch of Apple stuff and he wouldn't be able to be able to represent the company kind of a thing.
I just feel like I have to stay true to myself. I've been bitching about Apple for 15 years.
If you stop bitching, then that's a problem, right?
I can't just do that because I know a guy.
Oh, I don't stop bitching either. I just want to let him know I'm thinking about him while I do it. I'm not tempering my review of Apple.
The camera button, right? If the phone's locked, you click it and it just brightens the screen. Then you click it again and it goes to the camera.
I don't get it, dude.
If the phone's unlocked, it goes straight to the camera. It means I don't know whether to click it twice. So sometimes I click it twice and I just take a picture by accident.
So do you have like a bunch of pictures of your feet?
Yeah, a bunch of pictures of like the wall and my feet and my legs.
I gotta say though, you have the weirdest thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about problems. Even when we're not together and I try to interact with you, I have problems. Like I try to text you and I'm texting a Gavin. I text like once every 8 months. And it's like, oh, Siri thinks I want to talk to my tree surgeon and not talk to Gavin, my buddy. Your Instagram, the only social media that I like anymore is close friends Instagram. It's the best thing because it can do. I only regularly post to that. It's close friends is great.
You're a member of mine?
I'm a member of yours, yes, and I also follow you on Instagram. Instagram won't show me your stories. I literally, I'm embarrassed to admit how many times it's part of my week where I go and I actively search your name to see if you've got a story.
So even though you're searching me all the time, it doesn't serve me closer.
I'll show you this is the bullshit that I put up with in order to see what's going on in your life. So I go to Instagram and I go in here. Look at this. Look, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I go to search, and then when I click search, there's Gavin right there. Right there. There you are.
And you haven't typed anything yet.
You haven't, because you're right at the top of my list all the time, because then I would click on it and do that. Here's my list. Number 3 on my search list is Gavin Free. Above you is Siphon Coffee. I was going to send that to Jeff.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with what Siphon Coffee is?
No.
Yeah, I think Jeff would like it because it's like it looks like a mad scientist laboratory thing. It's like there's little like beakers and stuff, and they like suck coffee through a filter. It's pretty cool.
Would you drink, if it was clean on the inside, would you drink coffee siphoned from the gas tank of a car?
Good. Why not? It's just a tank at that point, right?
It's a clean tank.
Here's a problem, which I think I've known you a long time. You asked me that question. I immediately took it seriously and thought I have to give a serious answer to this. I am at a point in my life, I don't have to listen to questions that you ask me anymore. I don't have to give any weight to anymore. I'm going to reserve the right going forward to go like, I'm not going to answer that, Gavin. Immediately I thought, would I do that? Absolutely, I would do that.
Yesterday we were watching Nick play Last of Us on stream, and I just had a random thought in my head, and I asked Eric if he was offered $450, would he take it if the only way he could play Last of Us 2 was that all the enemies were replaced with MILFs? What? Random? I like that I live in a career where I could just... A stupid, easily dismissible thought I could just put out to the world. It just became a whole thing about fighting MILFs in video games.
It's your job.
I just thought, what a bummer, because it's such a good game. What if you could never play the true version? It was just all MILFs.
Oh, right. Would the gameplay be enough to carry you through that? Yeah. Well, I dealt with that because I was laughing with you the other day. I messaged you because I got on the Xbox. I was playing Dead Rising. Can I say the game you were playing?
Graw 2.
Yeah, you were playing Graw 2. I didn't want to spoil anything. You've got a video coming out or something. And I was like, what year is this? that one of us is in the UK, one of us is in America. One of us is playing Dead Rising, and the other is playing Graw 2. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed.
You said you're gonna watch the episode of Lost this week.
That's right. I got to see what Hurley's up to.
What were you doing in Dead Rising?
There's a remaster that they put out, and yeah.
Does it have 7 Days Survivor in it?
It does. You have to unlock it, but it's there. But they kind of nerfed it. I was talking about this on the podcast when I talked about Dead Rising. I would say that was probably, and Graw 2 as well, those were very influential games for us that then ended up starting Achievement Hunter, because we got into achievements not for games like Halo, to be honest with you. Yeah, but like Dead Rising, Graw 2, like we would play in parties trying to get achievements. And there was one of like, you had to play for an hour in Graw 2.
That's exactly what we're doing.
Is that what you're doing?
We're trying to get Eric that achievement.
And when I talk about you carrying Jeff through some of those, you literally carried. Do you remember you carried him through a Crackdown achievement?
My favorite game story.
He fell asleep while you were trying to get a Crackdown achievement, and you carried his car through a race. Like physically, your character picked up the car.
The achievement was to win all the races, which is quite difficult. So what I would do is Jeff would race around forwards, and while he's doing laps, I would use my ramp car just to flip all the other cars off the track. So all the other cars would just be like upside down in the ditch, and he could just drive 9 laps or something. And we did that a few times, and then I just heard snoring down the mic. I just heard like, and he was just parked against a barrier. And I was like, oh, for Christ's sake, Jeff, I just spent like 20 minutes throwing all the other cars off the thing. It's like, all you have to do is drive around and then you fall asleep. And I remembered it's cracked down, so I picked up his car and on foot. Takes way longer. I was running for probably 45 minutes carrying his car around. You know, and he got the achievement.
See, you need someone like that in your life. I don't think Panton would do that for you. He'll help you do it.
Yeah.
Also, though, Panton will get it done faster than anybody else.
He'll find a way.
It's insane. It's insane how good he is at video games. Or like finding like the little cracks in video games and things like that. But it's so funny when you say him, like, did your impression of him snoring? Can't you just perfectly picture Jeff with that white one-eared Xbox 360 headset, just like head back, snoring on his couch? I can picture that perfectly in my mind.
Did you ever have that translucent Halo 2 green one?
Yeah, it was fucking badass, dude.
I could never figure out how to wear that properly.
Well, it had like it would go into your ear.
Yeah, you'd put some of it in, you'd put some of it hooked over.
And it like rotated as well, right?
So confusing to me.
Yeah. I think I gave to Gus years later, I think I gave him as a gift my Xbox Live beta tester kit, because I was one of the Xbox Live beta testers. And you had
Is that when it was like a thing you plugged into the controller?
Memory card, yeah. And it was a translucent orange. That was a moment in time when like electronics were like translucent, clear, but colors.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
The Game Boys did that too.
And it was of that era. And it was like one of those things I had that Gus didn't have. So I could tell he was coveting it. So I gave it to him as a gift.
Would you use a transparent iPhone?
Now? No. I can't go back to that retro stuff. I can't do it. It's coming back. There was something I saw on, what was it on something? Oh, it was like it was on Reddit. Some girl was posting going, I got made fun of for my my tattoo.
I thought you said tampon.
I know, because I almost said tampon. She was getting made fun of for her tampon. She said, I get made fun of for my tattoo. Is it really that bad? And she had, no joke, she posted an image of it. It was like a straight out of 1999 lower back tramp stamp tattoo. It's like, who's even getting that in 2024? People were like so shocked they were complimentary. Like, that's amazing. I haven't seen a tattoo like that in 20 years. And you're getting that now.
And it's like, unironic.
I did. Yeah. She was just like, she was surprised that she got so many negative comments about it. It was like tribal and everything like that, man. You know, like the tribal design and everything.
I'm going to get some barbed wire around my arm.
I'm gonna get a black flag tattoo, or what's Jeff's least favorite one? Is Savage Dragon tattoo.
I don't think I know that one. He's got my nose tattooed on him.
Oh my god! At one point I almost paid him as a joke, just paid him straight up to tattoo my face. I'm so glad we didn't go through that joke. I'm so glad. We
Small
almost
or
did that.
like the size of Steve-O's?
No, I don't think it would have been like Steve-O. No, that would have been too much money. That's too much real estate to get that. I couldn't afford that. But it was one of the things that was like, haha, this is funny. And I think I backed out of it.
Maybe I'll do you remember the $1 Million homepage?
We just talked about this recently.
Did you?
Yeah.
I want to do $1 Million gut, where I just a grid and you can pay to tattoo whatever you want in my grid.
You know, when you say $1 Million gut, that's really interesting too, because we had $1 Million butt and we made that game. You know, we might have been the most successful game makers at the company, because we had Griffball and we had $1 Million butt, the card game.
I made $1 million in a day or something, didn't it?
It did.
I don't know why we followed through with making the game when we could have just played $1 Million butt for real one time.
Just got a sponsor to give us $1 million to do it. Is there any of those shows you missed the most? Because you're doing of course you're doing Slow-Mo Guys. You're doing Regulation Podcast. Are you on any of the other podcasts at the moment?
No.
So is there anything that like you missed from those days? Like anything? Because you do Let's Plays now as well, right? With Regulation, you Regulation gameplays, right?
Yep.
So, but is there anything you missed that you'd like to go back and do?
I missed the RT podcast.
RT podcast.
It was just such a staple of the week.
Yeah. And Barb and I were talking about the fun dynamic with us being down there at the end. Like we would sometimes just do our own kind of like mini podcast when Gus was talking about something, you know? God, I miss it too, man. I miss it a lot.
There's just such, I don't know. I've been watching a lot of highlights from it, and I just forgot how good it was.
Someone asked me recently if I go back and watch it, and I don't like, I'll watch RTAAs, you know? Like the Stinky Dragon crew, they're doing stuff. I love their puppet stuff. I just love the stuff that's like offshoots of it as well. Because I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. That's a weird thing to say for a person who makes 5 podcasts a week. But
do you like listening back to the arguments?
I like to watch the animated versions of it. I think they cut us down to our lunacy.
To this day, people say we were arguing different points in the airport door thing.
I don't. Do you want to talk about this? Do you want to talk about this?
It's a touchy subject.
Here's the point I was making.
Okay, go for it.
I'm
listening now.
Remember, I just told you today that I'm living this stress-free lifestyle.
Yeah, you don't have to respond to this.
My plane got canceled when I was on the way out here. And I just went to the guy who was giving out the tickets to all the angry passengers. I was like, thank you very much. I appreciate your help. And he was just like, oh, this went well. And then all the other customers behind me yelled at him. I'm not going to stress about stuff. I'm not. That being said, here's the point I was making. Everywhere I go in Austin, there's fucking orange and white barriers everywhere I go. And when I travel other places, like I live in a different place now. I live in a different place. There is construction in that place. It doesn't fucking compare to Austin. We showed up when we went to go have tacos today. We were on a street that was a residential street in a small suburban neighborhood. It was half closed. There was like 6 guys out there telling you couldn't drive down the road.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
There you go. I had breakfast in Scotland before I left. I didn't run into that.
Okay.
Are you going to tell me because I go to that place and eat tacos every day? Are you going to tell me that? Because now I don't live here anymore and I don't fly out of here anymore and I still run into this goddamn shit. Guess what? I landed in Austin. The only time I got upset on that trip, I feel my blood pressure going up. the only time I got upset on the trip out here was I landed in Austin. 45 minutes they didn't have a gate for us. Okay, 45 minutes sitting on the tarmac waiting for the gate. Then I get in and I had checked 2 empty bags because I wanted to bring stuff back from Austin.
Yeah.
Another 45 minutes. They must have been loading 1 bag at a time, one dude, for an entire plane that came from London Heathrow. It was fucking insane. Look at that. I didn't get too mad.
There you go. Perfect.
So what do you think in your fucking dumb brain? What do you think? What do you think it was you were arguing?
Well, my point was that you were complaining about the airport more than the other airports. But my point was you go to the airport 10 times more than every other airport.
What I'm saying
I feel less safe. The other 2 aren't here.
There's not as much as a buffer between us. You're in my world now, Gavin. I get what you're saying as well.
Did you ever just look it up though? Like, is there more construction at Austin than there is at New York?
What do I want? What do I want? Facts. I don't want any. I want information. I want to verify my ranting. No, it was nice to vent about dumb shit all the time, and we could get away with that. We could talk about the dumbest stuff on that podcast, and it didn't matter. Like we've talked. You're here now. We haven't talked about a single current event that's going on in this crazy world of ours. Crazy world. Are you able to vote now? Can you even vote here?
No.
You can't.
No.
Can you, but you could, is your path to being a U.S. citizen, I don't even know if you do that or not, is it made easier by the fact that Meg decided to marry you?
No, all of my...
Did I put that the right way?
She
threw you a bone and decided to put up with you forever?
All of my requirements for becoming a citizen were met already.
Okay.
But
what'd you do for a ring?
Titanium.
Mine's like a carbon, like a black carbon thing. I really like this ring. Ashley got it for me.
Is people carbon? Like if you wear like a skin ring, would that be a carbon ring?
Sorry. Is people carbon? Is people carbon? That would have been like 5 years ago. There'd been like 6 people in a merch department going, get on that right away. Is people carbon? You're an idiot. What's wrong with you? I feel like I derailed you though with the whole thing. So, do you want to talk do you think is it important for you to be a citizen here? Is that something that you want?
I don't know really. I've gone back and forth on it. I can vote, which is cool because I pay all my taxes paid here. But
if there's a needle, American, British, where's that needle for you right now? Where are you?
On what I am?
Yeah, what are you?
Oh, like 90% British.
You're 90% British.
Yeah.
Are you more American than you were?
Oh yeah, like I get more references than I did when I first moved here, but
Are you more American or more Texan?
I don't think I'm very Texan.
You don't identify as Texan
I don't know anything about Texas.
There we go.
And Austin's not really like Texas.
It really isn't.
Oh, the annoying thing is, I don't know, like, Meg will ask me stuff about how something works in England. I don't know. I was never an adult there. I never had to do anything, really. I live with my parents. I've never done anything that I've done here in the UK.
I was thinking about that too. Like, I've bought a house in your country and you never did
Yeah,
that.
I'm like, tell me about that. What's
I
the
bought a
price?
car in your country and you never did that.
You were telling me about stamp duty. I was
Yes.
like, oh, okay, interesting.
I was telling you about like upcoming budgetary meetings in the
Yeah.
UK, and I can tell you're like, what the fuck is that? It's funny. Anyway, we're going very long for this podcast, so I don't want to have to cut anything out of this. Gavin, is there anything? Where can people find you? Where can they come witness Gavin Free in 2024?
We've got the Regulation podcast going. You can search for that, or you can go to jeff.sucks and it'll take you right to our Patreon.
Jeff.sucks. And you guys just launched your store recently as well.
Yeah.
So if I go to the store, what can I get in there?
One shirt.
One shirt.
There's one shirt. There'll be a cup soon.
I can't get a scoop full of dirt from somebody's yard
No,
or
we're
like
not selling any dirt
a cup
yet.
of toilet water or anything like that, whatever the fuck you guys were selling.
The store is at regulationstore.com and regulationstore.store.
You guys are fucking idiots. All right, and then Slow Mo Guys is still, going strong.
Yeah.
People want to see Gavin, they can always go to the Slow Mo Guys channel on YouTube as well. That's SLOMO. Do people still spell it slow-mo?
Yeah, but I think because I didn't know how to spell slow-mo. I think it is without the W.
Yeah, it's like me
It
with
just
my
would
name.
have been nice if anyone at the company ever realized that.
What, your company or Rooster Teeth?
Rooster Teeth always spell it without the W.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
right. Well, I've been entertaining some people online for 10 years, and they still spell my name with an E, which I'm fine with because I misspell my name, so I get it. I have the wrongly spelled name. It's not their fault.
With an E?
No, with a U, dummy.
Oh. No, I thought you were talking about the end. I was like, there is an E at the end. I was thinking
People spell it burn you.
I thought you were doing
You burn you. That would be unforgivable. I wouldn't let that go by. That would be unforgivable. But everything else is fine. All right, Gavin, thank you so much for joining. It's always lovely to see you. Congratulations on your lovely wedding.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
Mr. Turney, hopefully have you back on again soon. All right, well, that does it for us today. I will be back to talk to you tomorrow. I hope you'll be here as well.
Bye, everyone.